Sorry, it's okay. I don't disagree.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to CNA Week in Review. And Ken is taking a much-needed week off. So filling in is my boy Josh. Justin here in the Geek Cave. I know it's been a few weeks since we've had a show. Ken and I were down in Pensacon last weekend. Had an awesome time at Pensacon as always. CNA repped with like 5 panels. It was a really good time. Unveiled some great cosplay for the cosplay contest. Me and Ken, you got to go check out some of our stuff on Instagram. Ken Splinter was absolute best costume at the entire. You've seen the pictures.
Yeah, I've seen them.
The best costume.
I saw your red hood as well. Amazing. Great.
We brought the Venom puppet out, which came together at the last minute for the con. But we'll be bringing these costumes out at future cons. I know here in Birmingham we'll have Magic City Con and Birmingham Con. I think we're going to be in Huntsville in May. We're going to go to Tupelo Con. So we'll be bringing these costumes out for y'all. So please come check us out at these cons. Always a great time getting to see y'all and hang out in a con environment. So definitely come check those out. But tonight we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. There's really hasn't been anything just...
No, so it's going to be us just kind of freewheeling and improvising as we go. So
riffing.
Yeah, and we're actually not as drunk as we normally are, so it might be coherent.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working on it.
Normally we're 2 or 3 deep before we even start, so
yeah,
this is an improvement. I had to go to my niece's 9th birthday today, so I have not been drinking.
I went to the gym.
Yeah, look at us, like adults or something.
Forget that.
So boring.
So I guess the first thing is everybody's looking forward to Pattinson's Batman. Comes out next week. Thursday, I think, is when most places are going to get it. But
yeah, I'm sure they'll do the
my understanding, Glenn can correct me in the comments, but CNA will be part of a sneak peek on Wednesday, next Wednesday at the Amstar in Alabaster. So a lot of people from CNA will be there for that. Please come check that out if you can get tickets for it. I'm not sure.
I think they probably might be gone at this point. I don't know.
Check it out. You'll see.
If you just want to come see the CNA guys, come hang out.
Yeah.
We'll then give you a haughty wave as we go into the theater to watch a movie you desperately want to see.
So let's talk about this. We're going in. Let's be prognosticators.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you think next Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday? When you walk out, what are you going to have seen? What are you expecting?
I think we're going to see a very gritty, very brutal Batman. I don't think we're going to see as realistic a take as Nolan did with his Batman.
Good.
I think we're going to have more of the comic book origins, more of the superhero and supervillains, but I don't think they're going to shy away from the violence. I read an article that... I'm sorry, that was a completely different show I'm thinking about right now. Never mind, but yeah. Swear I'm not drunk, just real tired.
I do think that they're going to be gritty, but I thought there's only so violent they can be maintaining a PG-13 rating.
There is, but I mean, we've seen the trailer where Pattinson just beats the hell out of a gang member. And not just a little bit, but like he's on the ground and just goes to town on him.
But it's all about camera angles. If they stick on Batman and they don't show skulls fracturing,
that's true.
We don't go rated R. So there's ways you can display grit and violence without having to be gratuitous.
There you go. Good word.
So I guess that's the line they're going to toe. Mm-hmm. And I think they did a pretty good job. If you're a fan of Matt Reeves, his ape movies. Mm-hmm.
Planet of the Apes. Well, it's not technically the Planet of the Apes. I think that's what they're called.
The ape movies. He did a great job of making those violent films without having to venture into rated R territory.
And they weren't just, like, not cheesy. Well, I mean, the original ones were pretty cheesy, but they had emotion to them. They had character-driven stories.
His three, I think, are great movies.
Yeah, they really are. If you haven't seen them, go check them out.
And that scene where Koba fools the 3 guys and then just beats them to death and then shoots them with a gun. And that's the kind of thing you can display brutal violence
Mm-hmm.
without having to show blood splatters and the stuff that's going to push you into that rated R territory. So
I think what we've seen is the action from Batman so far, those scenes. But I think there is going to be very character-driven story arcs, and part of the reason I think that is Reeves or the studio has come out and said that this is not just the origin story for Batman because it's year 2 or so.
Yeah.
He's got the suit, but we're going to see the development of Penguin, Catwoman, and the Riddler. This is their origin story moving forward, and the fact that they're saying it's their origin story, I think, is great because it suggests they're not going to kill them at the end of the movie like a lot of.
like for most of our lives, the mistake they always made in comic book movies was
Yeah.
kill the villain at the end of the movie.
So I think we're going to see more of them going forward. And I think it's going to be really interesting because you have Cobblepot is what looks like the gangster version of him,
and he's getting his own show on HBO Max.
Is he really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
In fact, the actor Colin came out this week and said that he hopes he convinced the studio to keep it a rated R show. He wants it to be a dirty, gritty crime drama set in Gotham around Oswald Cobblepot.
I could totally see that kind of. The Sopranos meets DC Comics, basically.
Yeah.
And you've got Catwoman, who is clearly, a new cat burglar. Basically, she hasn't established that character yet. What we've seen, I think the only one we see that is really kind of their supervillain version is Riddler. This larger than life, like he's exploring it. I don't think he's established.
No, it still feels like he's a serial killer territory.
Yeah, he hasn't established.
This might be his stepping on the scene kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's going to be. And we still don't know. What's interesting to me is he seems to have a vendetta against the Waynes.
Yeah,
and we don't know anything about that yet. We don't know
perhaps
anything.
The Waynes won't be as painted in quite a cheery fashion as they have in the past.
Yeah, and I do like that.
Oligarchs usually have some skeletons in their closet.
Yeah, I think they might be taking some tips from the Telltale games, and showing them that they did good, but also there was darkness within the Waynes.
I read an article the other day, an interview with Pattinson, and he said he hopes that they don't go Joker in the next one, and that he hopes they go Court of Owls.
If you have Dark Waynes and you want to explore that, then the Court of Owls is a logical next step.
Feels like that's him knowing something.
Yeah. I hope so. I like the Court of Owls. I always thought it was an interesting idea.
Yeah, and it lets you do that whole thing that we hear we're going to get this. Batman being a detective.
Mm-hmm.
Batman having to figure things out, having to dig through with the Court of Owls, a history of centuries of ruling the city from the shadows.
Gotham. That's what I miss and I think it's forgotten way too often in the movies, is that Batman is that master detective. He's a genius.
Matt Reeves says that that's what this movie focuses on.
Good. I think that's wonderful. And pitting him against Riddler is a great way to do that.
Yeah.
Literally a battle of intelligence almost. And,
that's what you love about the Batman-Riddler dynamic. Is that he is nearly Bruce's equal, perhaps better. Sometimes his hubris is the only thing that gets in the way.
Let's not forget that time he launched a Riddle torpedo from a submarine into the sky of Gotham.
You know what? Let's talk about
Adam West, sorry guys.
Let's talk about his cardio. Because this motherfucker runs around the city tops of Gotham putting these question marks up. Dude, parkour.
I think he subcontracts that out to people who don't like they know who they're working for, but they're like, fuck it. $100 is $100.
Let me crawl through this electrified cage. Yeah. There it is.
They live in the narrows of Gotham. $100, whatever. We're doing this. I don't give a shit.
We've gone off the rails already.
We usually do. Glass is about empty there, isn't it, buddy?
Yeah, it is. One other thing I wanted to point out about Batman, and this got me kind of excited. Up to this point, Matt Reeves has said he demanded that this was its own universe and would not touch any type of expanded DC EU. He said in an interview this past week that was the case for the first one, and that moving forward, he will be open to exploring the multiverse.
Which is pretty much a complete turn on what we thought this was going to be. We thought these were going to be his movies, not touching any of them. But now we.
Now it makes you wonder: will we see elements of his universe in the Flash movie?
The thing about the Flash movie, because it is Flashpoint, we don't know what the hell we're going to see.
Right.
It could literally be anything. And I know that word is way overused, but in this case, it's quite appropriate.
I mean, yeah, clearly they're going to somehow bring 1989 Batman back. So
yeah,
and retcon Ben Affleck's Batman. So
we don't know what's going on with it right now, and we've talked about this. One of our suspicions is Flashpoint is going to be kind of would you say a soft reboot for the DCU?
I think it's going to be a splinter.
Okay.
I think that Warner Brothers is going to try to explore the ability to tell multiple stories in multiple universes that can cross over.
Yeah.
Kind of like we've seen with the DC EU crossing over with the Arrowverse.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to try to do that. That seems to be, if Hamada stays in power, that seems to be his game, is to say, okay, maybe we will keep elements of the Snyderverse, but that's just a subsection of our greater story we're going to tell.
And I like that idea. They've kind of done that with their animated universe.
Yeah.
There was like a main storyline
Mm-hmm.
that was driven, and we saw it from beginning to end. But they just would pop off and tell different stories.
One could argue that's what the MCU does as well.
Well, yes, I guess. All right. Fair point. But I do like the idea that, other directors can kind of dip their toes in the water of DC and kind of play with it in their own way, and they're not as restricted. That's one of the only complaints I have about the MCU is stylistically, they're all a little bit the same.
And look what happened when Chloe Zhao kind of went outside. Everyone was all over her for it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. I like the Eternals. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's an 8 out of 10 for me. I mean, it's a solid film, beautifully story tone. I really think it's a case of people just not being intelligent enough to get that movie.
Yeah, unfortunately. And, I know that the MCU has done very different genres in their films, but they all feel like MCU films.
So I'll tell you what the MCU needs. The MCU needs Punisher.
Oh, God. That's just like...
It needs a dose of just utter chaos and violence. And who better to bring that than Frank freaking Castle?
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I know where this is leading. You please go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping Moon Knight does this, but if Moon Knight doesn't introduce the deep dark, the announcement last week that Disney plans to bring Frank Castle into the expanded Marvel Universe via Hulu, which hints at a greater strategy, maybe. We know that Disney owns 66% of Hulu, and that they are not real keen yet on throwing darker stuff on Disney+. So is this a kind of two-pronged approach to the MCU? The more central MCU-focused stories will stay on Disney+, and the grounded, gritty characters of New York City, possibly even maybe Young Avengers over on the West Coast, could this be their home on Hulu and share the Marvel Universe?
Yeah, and we know Moon Knight is going to be just violent.
It does seem to be the case, yes.
Yeah, that was actually the article I read, is they don't cut away in Moon Knight. The actors were like, okay, so then you cut the camera away. And they're like, no, we're just going to film you beating him violently.
Well, and that's going to be on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I know.
So much for that theory.
No, I think it's still good. They could move Moon Knight onto Hulu, but we've seen Charlie Cox as Daredevil in the MCU. They're bringing these street level characters back.
Yeah, and the question is, where are they going? Because they're coming off of Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And this week there was an announcement that in March they're going to move to Disney Plus in Canada, but nothing about the U.S. And it makes you wonder, will they ultimately land at Hulu instead of Disney Plus?
It would make sense because Disney
is going to go that route.
Yeah, and I love the street level characters that they had. Bring Ritter back as Jessica Jones, please. She was
The only thing that sucks about that entire show is that the Purple Man is dead.
Yeah. I mean, that's David Tennant.
God almighty. He is one of the best villains in all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in my opinion. He dripped fright and danger and just, I mean, with the words of his voice, he took over cities.
Mm-hmm.
He was a villain that I would have loved to have seen
for a while.
Yeah.
Around. I mean, just every single scene he was in, you were on edge because you didn't know what was going to happen. Because not only could he take control of people, but he was also a bloody sociopath.
Psychopath, yes. Yeah.
Like, you never knew what he was going to do.
That first season of Jessica Jones is right up there with all 3 seasons of Daredevil, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. It's just so good.
Stunning. And at the time it happened, I felt like Marvel had not really nailed villains.
They nailed the shit out of that one.
The shit out of that one.
My God. I mean, you had a broken hero who was psychologically abused by a villain trying to deal with her trauma.
I mean, yeah, it just, the layers and the depth and the acting and the,
And it was, I mean, it was
Ritter. I need to go back and watch that again.
It was Ritter and Tennant. That's why it was so good, is because they were so perfect in those roles.
She was born to play that role.
Yeah, she really was. Oh man, I hope they bring her back, because they brought Bernthal and Cox back. Please bring her back.
I mean, if they're getting all the rights to those shows, why not? The only one that wasn't fairly successful was Iron Fist. Yeah. And if they're going to bring them all back, I say bring back Iron Fist too. Find a way to tie him into Shang-Chi and maybe redeem him.
Yeah.
Put good actors around that sorry fucking excuse of an actor that is.
Yeah, God, he tried hard though. You got to give him that. I don't remember his name. He's like the only one I don't remember.
There's a reason.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, those street level guys were great, and I loved them. And we'll get to that. I'll reference this back later after we talk about Peacemaker. But I just, the Netflix MCU stuff was wonderful to me. I've gone back and watched them several times.
Me too. Every time I meet someone that hasn't watched them, I'm like, let's sit down. Start with Daredevil episode 1.
Oh, that was so good, man. But yeah, and these were kind of origin stories that didn't feel like origin stories, though.
Well, and they did something that I felt like at the time hero shows desperately needed. What we had seen so far was network cable hero shows that had orders for 22 to 24 episodes. That's too long for speed.
It is.
That's too long to tell a cohesive story, so you get filler. You get what I like to call them Lana Lang storylines. Take it, apply it to any of the CW. It could be a Lana Lang storyline. It could be an Olicity storyline. Whatever it is, it's a superfluous storyline that has no point in the main plot.
No, I agree.
And CW has just ridden their horse for like 2 decades. And in comes Marvel and says, we're going to do 13 episodes. And we're going to tell a concise story.
Yeah.
And then Disney Plus says we can do it in 6. I think the sweet spot's somewhere in the middle.
Is this just going to become like, guess that tune? I can name it in 2 notes, Tom.
It's like Loki and I can do it in 1. I can do it in 1.5.
By the way, throwing out the $64 words tonight. Gratuitous and superfluous. Like, damn. Who bought you a word of the day calendar for your birthday?
Hey, I've always had a verbose vocabulary.
Jesus. So it's in the bathroom upstairs. That's where it's at.
Someone's in my ear. You know what? Something I know you were going to want to talk about for a minute is that a movie we thought was shelved appears to be back with Netflix. BioShock, maybe one of the best video games ever made.
It is top 5 for me, and maybe top 3. And back in the, I think it was like 2000. What do we even call the teens of the 2000s? Like the 2000 teens? Is that,
ends? I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds so awkward. The 2000 teens. Gore Verbinski had gained the rights to BioShock, and he wanted to make it a movie. And it looked like it was going forward, but the studio he was working with wanted a PG-13 rating, and that is not a PG-13 game. is what it is.
And I don't want Gore Verbinski touching it.
I'm just relating what was happening back when. And he wanted a hard R rating, and they balked, and it never happened. It went into development hell, which is where a lot of things go. But now we're hearing rumors that we're maybe going to see a BioShock movie.
I hope they go back to the original. I mean, I know Infinite was an incredible story.
No, I think they'll do the original.
But I want to see the original first. If it's good, keep going. Let's tell this multiversal story that can bring in Infinite. But I want that first.
Yeah. God,
that game.
Rapture. Oh, man.
I still remember you come down the tube and that first time you see Rapture. It is. Mm-hmm. That was a stunning moment in game
It was.
history.
You crash land in a plane and you walk in and no God's only man. You know, it was just, holy crap.
You've never seen anything like it.
No, you really hadn't.
Everything from how beautiful it was and how well rendered the water was in a world surrounded by water, to the gameplay. So different than anything we'd experienced before in these variety of weapons. Borderlands owes its life to BioShock. So many games owe their lives to BioShock.
They do. I mean, first person shooters get kind of laid by the wayside as, just like, oh, you want to run and gun.
But that was art.
Yeah, it really was. They created an entire world, an entire mythology.
With a great story.
Yeah, and characters that were not one-dimensional, that were so deep.
And many of them you only knew through audio recordings.
Yeah, all you ever heard. That was the thing, is you could pick up those recorders and you would hear the story of Rapture's rise and its fall and all the people involved in it. And you got the sense of a real world that you were inhabiting. Yep. It wasn't just, scenarios or sets for you to run around and shoot people.
No. Everything had a purpose and a meaning. It was Big Daddy. I remember the first time you came across the
Big Daddy and the little sister. Oh, man, that was so good. And you were watching them through the glass, and the splicer attacked and just went to town on them with the drill. Oh, God, yeah. And, I mean, that was terrifying. You're like, you don't know what's going on, but you're going to run across them.
Done right, that will be an incredible television show or movie.
Yeah.
However they go with it.
It's just, God, I'd forgotten it. Forgotten about that article, honestly. Thanks for mentioning that.
You're welcome. You wanted to talk, I know we're a day short and $1 late, but you wanted to talk about Peacemaker in the finale?
Yeah, we got to talk about Peacemaker. I mean, this has been probably my favorite show the last couple months since it started. James Gunn just does things right.
Golf clap.
Yeah. He really does. We saw the end. They finally went after the butterfly's home nest and the cow. Shit. That's a cow. I don't ever want to go to a farm.
I mean, the show didn't shirk out at the end.
No.
It gave us a good finale.
It was.
That was a great fight, just going in guns a-blazing, thinking you're going to lose hardcore in that fight. I mean, I still, the show's over. What's his name?
Economist?
No.
Vigilante?
Vigilante. My favorite character on the show. He is great. I love the moment where the cop is coming after him and he says, "Don't fuck with my best friend," and puts a hatchet right through his head. That was just wonderful gore. I love how this is such a continuation of an arm off of Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And he's going to play with this world. We don't know where he's going next, but we know he's getting another show.
Yeah.
That splices off of Suicide Squad. So he's going to create a world within the DC universe that is really fun. And
I like that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Peacemaker, then I want to talk about the idea of Gunn working with DC. These characters were very well done. I mean, they grew with each other. It felt like real relationships between them, and they were ridiculous human beings. They were either incompetent, not good people, didn't really know what the hell they were doing, were just trying to do their job, and I connected with them. When Economos went down to the barn and got captured, I was like, fuck, are they going to kill Economos? Like, no. And when he had explained why he dyed his beard, I was sad. it hit me in the feels, man.
Absolutely.
He's just this lonely dude.
Never had a date, never had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Hopefully, there's some reclamation coming for him in season 2.
But I thought every character at some point was dead, and it hit hard.
It did.
And then even the ending when it's just
Okay.
Peacemaker.
She torpedoes into the
Oh, that
cow.
was a good one. I like that she clearly didn't know that was coming, but yeah, Peacemaker activated it. It was that, oh fuck, and she knew it was coming.
And 2 things we talk about. I want to talk about the end, and then we'll circle back.
Yeah.
The end I thought was very kind of beautiful and poetic and dark at the same time.
Yeah.
Him settling down, having Goff there, living off the last little bit of the goo, and then the dark shadow over him sits down, and he's still got that father figure in his head.
Yeah.
That's a dark place to leave off.
It really is. Visual hallucinations and audible as well.
Yeah.
Really not a good sign of mental stability.
No, not a good place for him to be leading us at what we assume will be a team moving forward.
Yeah. But also Eagly's there and he dropped him a possum or a muskrat or something. I don't know.
It's all good then.
Yeah. Eagly's got an eye on him, buddy.
So let's circle back to the other part of the ending I want to talk about. And that is the cameo no one freaking saw coming.
No, not at all.
In fact, they did it so quietly that of course, I'm talking about the Justice League showing up at the end. You're fucking late, you douchebags. Go fuck another fish. But they had to really kind of play by the skin of their teeth to get this done. In fact, Marvel allowed Gunn to use their set and their cameras to film the moment with Ezra Miller. And then Aquaman came in. Momoa did that on his own dime. He didn't ask for payment. Those guys are in. They want this universe to survive.
They do.
And that was Superman. I don't care what anyone says. That was Superman. No.
Who the hell else was they think it was?
So many people are trying to say that if you zoom in, it had boobs, that it was Supergirl, and that they're retconning the Justice League. You can't retcon the Justice League.
No.
Now, you notice Cyborg and Batman weren't there. We know why.
Yeah.
In fact, Gunn said, I tried to have Batman in there. I can't say why.
Yeah. Also lends credence to the fact that Matt Reeves' Batman might be, coming into the multiverse a little bit.
Yeah, well, we also know, we believe that the new future will be 1989 Batman.
Yeah.
An older Keaton.
Yeah.
So.
Which would fit with the age of the Justice League right now.
Yeah.
And
would also believe we're probably going to get a Terry McGinnis out of it.
I'm pretty sure they said that they're going to do a Batman Beyond, and Keaton's perfect for that version of Batman.
Absolutely. But have you seen the picture of him in his new and improved 89 Batman suit?
It looks good.
He still looks pretty freaking menacing.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if you're wearing a giant fucking armored bat
I
suit.
made a bat suit. I looked menacing.
Yeah. There's a reason people wear uniforms. They're scary.
Yeah.
But I also think one of the best things about that Justice League scene, and it sounds very silly, but I think it goes in depth, is Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller making the Aquaman fucks fish joke. DC let him do that.
Yep.
They, a studio that has always been like way on top of their movies, step back and let him make
Tells you the power of James Gunn.
Well, I like to think maybe it's an alteration in the attitude of Warner Brothers, that they're now understanding we need to let them do what they're going to do and maybe give them some leeway.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
What Flash is like.
We don't know what the future holds.
Like a studio hijacking it. You can feel it when you watch a movie.
Yeah, you really can. I mean, that's the thing, is when executives.
And sometimes they should have hijacked a movie and they didn't. Like Wonder Woman 1984. What were the executives in that room thinking when they watched that movie? They were like, green light that son of a bitch.
I don't know. It kind of gave me a furry fetish now. I don't remember. Tell me you don't want to fuck Cheetara. Not Cheetah. Well, no, that's a whole childhood thing. Cheetah.
Thunder.
Thundercats. Kim. Where are you at, buddy?
I think we have gone completely off the rails.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I have anything else. Did you have anything else?
The only thing I can think of is we got the first picture of Gore the God Killer for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Go Google it. It looks great. I mean, it's perfect copy from the comics.
Rumor is that perhaps maybe he killed the Celestial known as Nowhere. That's how he got his title of God Killer.
That would make sense.
So,
Tying it in.
That'll be an interesting route to go. Uber powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if your title is God Killer, I feel like that's not like, oh, I'm gonna give myself my own nickname. Like,
I hope it's
somebody earns that.
I hope it's not a waste of an incredible actor.
Yeah, Christian Bale, and I mean, he's unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Underneath all that,
and I feel like he's one of our top 5 actors alive right now. So.
Yeah. As long as you don't walk across the set while they're filming a scene.
I mean, I'm not saying he's not a dick. I assume they're all dicks.
That's a deep reference, y'all. Go YouTube that shit.
He is a dick. But he's a good actor.
He is. But, yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything else we can talk about. We covered pretty much everything.
Well, we say it every week. We'll say it again. It's a great time to be a nerd and be alive. And this week and next week, go out and do something geeky by seeing the Batman. And if you can, come see it Wednesday with CNA.
Y'all go.
Excelsior.
Complete nerve authority.